Happy Holy Thursday, everyone. I was thinking about today and really thinking about what Jesus was doing, what model he was trying to do for us. And there's so many different things we can think about and pray about. But every Holy Thursday, every one that I've been part of, as a priest, as a deacon, as a seminarian, and so forth, what always strikes me is that how and why Jesus was trying to prepare the disciples. And the thing that always comes back to me was that he was preparing them for battle, preparing them for spiritual battle. And I think about this and think about the warriors in our lives and the people we know in our lives. And the people that come to my mind of the best warriors that we would say United States would be the Navy SEALs. They might be perhaps the best warriors in the world. And they have to go through some of the most grueling, tiring training to become one. And I heard a video one time from Simon Sink, who asked a SEAL, who makes it through the selection process? Who is able to become a SEAL? And his answer was, I can't tell you the kind of person that becomes a SEAL. I can't tell you the kind of person that makes it through buds. But I can tell you the kind of person who doesn't make it to the SEALs. He's the guy who shows up with huge bulging muscles, tattoos all over the place, who wants to prove to the world how tough they are, that they are the savior of the world. Not one of them makes it through. He said the pretend leaders who give all the responsibilities to someone else and never do any of the work, or have their own agenda in life, none of them make it through. He says some of the guys that make it through are skinny, some of the guys are scrawny. He says some of the guys who make it through, you see them at times shiver in fear. He says, however, all the guys, every single one of the guys that make it through, when they find themselves physically spent, emotionally spent, when they have nothing left to give physically or emotionally, somehow, some way, they are able to find the energy to dig down deep inside themselves, to find the energy to help the guy next to them. They become SEALs. They become warriors. He says, you want to make it through? It's not about how tough you are. It is not about how smart you are. It is not about how fast you are. If you want to make it, you better get really good at helping the person to the left of you, to the right of you, behind you, and in front of you. And you better get good at this. You better get good at asking for help when you need it. Because that is how people advance in the world. Asking for help, helping others. Yet how often would we rather help someone else than be helped? How often would we rather wash someone else's feet than allow our feet to be washed? How often do we want to be our own saviors in life? I can tell you for a fact that I would much rather wash these 12 men and women tonight than have my own feet washed. And yet, as uncomfortable that is for me, I've been asked to get my feet washed multiple times, and I said yes. Even to the point where one priest kissed my feet. And no, I am not doing that tonight. Or you could be a suspense that maybe I will. As my natural disposition is to say what St. Peter says every year, you will never wash my feet. Or again, I want to help you, but I don't want help myself. Can anyone relate to this in life? That we would rather help than being helped? Do we like to ask for help when we need it? I love that. That was a yes. There was an article that came out a couple years ago about this very thing. Why don't people ask for help when they need it? And the top 3 answers were these. First, people are hardwired to want to do the things on their own and to be independent-minded. Asking for help often makes people feel uneasy because it requires surrendering control to someone else. Second, another reason is fear. Fear to be perceived to others as being needy. We don't want to be ashamed of our situation or come across as incompetent. And lastly, some people are also afraid that they will be shunned or rejected if they ask for help. We make a lot of excuses for not making the request, such as, I got rejected once or twice when I asked for help. This must be a sign that I should not ask for help anymore. And yet, Jesus' command is for us to have our feet washed by him. To get help from him is the only way to get into heaven. As Jesus says to Peter, unless I wash you, you will have no inheritance with me. Again, unless I wash you, you will have no inheritance with me. In other words, Peter, the world is too dangerous and the world is too difficult for you to think you can do all these things on your own. So Peter, are you going to ask for help, to accept help when it's offered? Are you going to learn that skill? And the amazing thing is when we ask for help in life, we discover that there are people who are all around us who always wants to help. They just don't think we need it because we keep on pretending we have everything under control in life. And the minute we say, I don't know what I am doing, I am stuck, I am scared, I don't think I can do this. Once we become vulnerable to someone else, we find lots of people who love us. They will rush in and take care of us. But that will only happen if we learn to take care of them first and allow Jesus to take care of us. We must love God and love our neighbor as ourselves. And we all need to be reminded every moment of the day of God's immense love for us so that we don't get tired of asking for his mercy, his forgiveness, his graces. Because there are so many challenges of life. Not just these last 2 years. There have been so many personal challenges we could have in life. And yes, there are so many joys and so many delights, but they don't eliminate our crosses in life. We live in a fallen world, a world of injustice, a world of hardships, a world of loss, a world of wounds and hurts. As we ourselves are fallen human beings, we lose our tempers, we get into temptations, we get into situations we know we should not get into. We sometimes don't stay in our lanes. And when we do these things, we add to our misery and our pain. When we do these things, we add to misery and pain to those around us. In the midst of these difficult and tough situations, and when we get stuck in life, it is so hard to remember. It is so hard to remember and to understand the true fact that God never, ever, ever, ever gives up on us. We can't earn his love and we cannot lose it. And even if everything that is going wrong in our lives is 100% our fault, God does not give up on us. God can turn our Good Fridays into Easter Sundays. But we have to ask for his help. We have to ask for the grace to be patient and humble enough to be on the lookout to the people he sends our ways and how he sends them, even if we think they're our enemies. We have to learn to wait for the hour when God's help comes. If it takes long, we suffer in prayer. If we can't suffer, we will never receive the help of God when it comes, because we must take the position that God never comes late. He knows what he's doing. Everything is for a purpose. The knowledge that God's will is behind everything, even behind all the frustrating circumstances that seek to make us impatient in life, will help us to practice patience in everyday circumstances. And to be meek and a humble heart, to accept help even if we don't want it. So again, do we ask for help? Are we willing to wait for his help? Are we humble enough to accept his help when it's presented to us in the moment? For the first time in 2 years, we are allowed to wash feet again because of COVID. And again, these 12 men and women that are getting their feet washed tonight are people in this parish that we need help from. They're people in the parish that I need help from. And not just these men and women that I need help from, that this parish needs help from. I need help from all of you. Your continued help. So will you help me? Not to do whatever you want when you want it. Not to do our own agendas, our own wills. But to strive each day and every day to fight every day to be the spiritual warriors that we were called to at baptism, to fall in love with God, to stay in love with God, to do his will, to accept his help, to light up the people to the right of us, to light up the world to the left of us, in front of us and behind us. Are we willing to take on the task to be the spiritual warriors that God has called us, that the world is crying out for? Are we willing to be Christ-like to the world?